Is being single for a long time, never been married in your 50s after 50, is that a red flag? Thank you so much for joining us again on Second Act TV. So happy to welcome back once again Treva Brandon Scharf, the author of Done Being Single and the host of Done Being Single podcast with your hubby, Robbie. Thank you, Treva, for being here again.
Oh, thank you so much. You know how much I hate being here.
Well, you know how much I hate having you here.
I know, I just hate it.
Well, today we have a topic that I know is near and dear to your heart, probably one of your favorite topics, if not your favorite topic, and that is being single for a long time, never been married in your 50s after 50, is that a red flag? You know, this comes up over and over and over again. Just this morning in our comments, there was if you're still dating over 50, you're a loser. You need to rethink
Right.
your choices.
Right. Yes, heard it, been there. I was that. So this is going to be an interesting conversation.
Yeah.
I have a lot of thoughts on it.
Well, the way I want to approach it today is, what is a red flag? It could be, there could be, it's a good question. People do question it. The question does come up, and it even comes up for us when we're saying it's not a red flag.
I'm going to apply to every one of these. I will check off every one of these boxes. Yes, some of us just need a little more time. Doesn't mean that we're defective or flawed. I would be a big fat liar if I didn't tell you that when I met Robbie and he was 56, told me he had never been married. I raised an eyebrow. You what? What is wrong with you? Thought bubble above my head was thinking, and then I thought, who am I to speak? I live in a big glass house.
So let's talk about that. One of the first ones here that would be a red flag is commitment issues, that if it shows that this person has commitment issues, and that's not just for romantic relationships, but, just making future plans, long-term plans, that could be a red flag. Because
a lot of, the article that you gave me to read, a lot of it harkened back to attachment theory.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that I reference attachment style a lot in most of everything I write and I talk about, because it's true. Right. And people who tend to have commitment issues or problems with commitment, are they securely attached? Are they anxious attachment? Are they avoidant and fearful? Maybe again, I may have had a little of that as well. Is it not overcomable? Of course not. No, if you feel like there's something there that needs to be looked at, by all means, dive in, and you'll learn a lot about yourself if you take it on.
Yeah. Well, you brought up a good point just now. You learn a lot about not just yourself, but the person in front of you by asking these questions. Not having been married ever, being single for a long time, for whatever reason, there's a lot there. There is a lot to learn, but it doesn't mean that it's bad. And that's, I think, the point that, we want to make here is that yes, there are red flags, but there are also green flags or not red flags when you come across somebody who's never been married or been single for a very long time. I think this is a good one too. Avoiding vulnerability. There's the V word again. That if you're afraid to show your real self, because you're afraid of judgment or that somebody won't like you, you never end up showing your real self.
Again, I go back to anxious attachment, avoidant attachment. There's something in getting close that's frightening to people, that is very unnerving. Falling in love is frightening and scary, and it makes you feel so exposed and so vulnerable, right? Some people just, I'm not doing it. I'm not even going to go there because it's just too scary, and I'm afraid of getting my feelings hurt, or I'm afraid of getting rejected. And so vulnerability is wonderful. It's great if you can face it down and conquer it, and own it.
Well, and that's a huge red flag if somebody is not willing to open up, because ultimately you're not getting to know the person.
No, right.
That's just, that never turns out good.
Right.
Another one here, we've talked about this before in other segments, looking for the perfect partner.
Yeah, that's a problem. I think more so with dating apps.
Mm-hmm.
In a minute, we're going to all red flag ourselves right out of the dating world if we don't start to become a little bit more realistic
Mm-hmm.
and a little more forgiving and have a little bit more grace.
Mm-hmm.
And the perfection thing is that is actually pervasive with people. Just that's not even a dating thing. I know people that can't make a move to buy a new something
Right.
or decorate their home or choose a new appliance because they're so afraid of either failure or making a mistake or being stuck with something. That is again on you to look at, to explore, and once you do, it can be very freeing once you are able to let it go and let that whole perfection thing go. It's
Yeah.
very liberating.
Yes, absolutely. And it is, if you are running into somebody out there and there's a resistance there, or you see that there always is the grass always greener, is there always something else out there, which that's very
Yeah,
typical of online dating, unfortunately.
yeah, I mean, we've always felt that way, but it's just been more heightened and more kind of amped up because of online dating. Because, well, if there's a slight little problem with someone, even the tiniest little thing,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
I'm back online. There's no patience. There is immediate gratification problem, right? There's no willingness to invest and hang out and see beyond that potential little thing, a little quirk. I mean, for God's sakes, you got to get to know people.
Exactly. Well, bottom line, being a perfectionist or looking for the perfect partner, the ideal relationship is going to keep you single. So if anything hits home here, in what we're talking about, really think about that. And as always, looking forward to the comments on this. How do you identify with this? What can you add here? Any experience that others, including ourselves, can learn from? Please leave it in the comments. This is kind of obvious, but maybe not, is a person who is not open to marriage at all. And they will tell you that, well, I just don't want to get married. A lot of people, I should say a lot of people, maybe more women than men even, will think, oh, if they find the right person, then, they will get married or they will want to have a long-term relationship. But if they're telling that they're just not open to marriage, listen, that is a red flag for you if you want to commit a relationship.
Yeah, a lot of people I know that have been married have no desire to get remarried, but they're perfectly happy living together apart. So again, this is the good news is that there's never been a better time to be single. There is less pressure, there's less stigma, there's less judgment. It's so much like better, just an easier kind of vibe than it was years and years ago when if you weren't married or if you didn't want to get remarried, something wrong with you, or if you chose to be single, what? And now it's no one asks. They just say, okay,
Okay. Yeah.
different strokes.
I won't say no one, but it's a lot less than it was. I totally agree with you, on that.
Yeah.
Well, and then the opposite. Let's look at when is it not a red flag? Because you will come across people who are not married, who have never been married, who have been single for a very long time. In fact, the statistics show that it's like 25% of people from their mid-40s on are going to be single. And that doesn't necessarily mean there's anything wrong. For example, when being single, and I think you've alluded to that, is a personal choice, that
Yes.
you want to be single, that this is not because you can't find someone, you want to be.
Yes, that was me. I was single by choice, just because for numerous reasons. I just wasn't in a hurry and I didn't want to settle. And then I was ready and then there was nobody around. It was just terrible timing on my part. But yes, I am that article that describes I told you, every one of those points describes me.
Yeah, and the person, again, that if you're looking for love and you come across this, you decide, is that a red flag for you? There's nothing wrong with this person. Is it a red flag for you because you want more? And then you just have to be honest with yourself. But that person in front of you could be just like the best person ever, like Treva.
Yes.
Prioritizing career and passion over a relationship. I think that's something that, certain people actually end up regretting, perhaps, maybe, especially as we get older. But again, is it a red flag? I mean, it's a choice that you make. And again, it's the person looking for love that needs to decide if they can go along with this or not.
That's sort of the old mantra of the power babe, who was too busy to get married, too busy to have
Yeah.
kids, and, working on her career. And
Mm-hmm. And that's why people have a choice. A relationship doesn't have to be the number one priority in your life. I mean, everywhere it's written, it should be, your marriage should be. And, to a large degree, that's true. However, it doesn't have to be. And for some people, it isn't. There are more important things in life.
Yeah.
To them, I'm not necessarily saying I agree, but I do see that point of view, and how that can come to be, especially with people like, surgeons, and I mean, people who really make a difference,
Yeah. Yeah.
because then they have to dedicate their time to something else. Relationships are going to
Yes.
suffer, and you have to decide whether you can accept that or not. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong or there's a red flag.
It's up to you to decide how much of this personality, this lifestyle that you're willing to tolerate
Mm-hmm.
and go with and
Yeah.
enjoy and be attracted to. I mean, there's a lot of people that use excuses like, I'm too busy, I travel too much, I'm, whatever, to kind of avoid love,
Mm-hmm.
to protect themselves, protect their hearts. And I've
Mm-hmm.
heard it. I've heard all kinds of my kids, my
Yeah.
ex, we've
Yeah.
all, everybody has an excuse when you don't want to do something, when you do want to do something. And I know this for a fact because I've been in the self-improvement business forever. Trust me, trust me. I don't
Yeah.
care if it's finding love, a relationship, losing weight, getting in shape.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care.
Yeah.
People, when they want to do something, tend to do it.
They do it. Exactly. I like this one too. Holding non-traditional views on relationships. I so fit in that category. The marriage certificate to me just means nothing anymore. And
Mhm.
I know people disagree. That's okay.
Mhm.
I had a practice marriage like for 6 months, and I was married for 25 years. I'm not going there again. And I'm in a
Yeah.
very happy relationship now for 12 years.
Yes.
We're now living together, but we did the lat. We did the non-traditional way.
Yeah.
And I think that's what kept us together so long.
Yes, this is, and God bless you guys found your groove. You
Mm-hmm.
found your jam. For someone like me, it wasn't the marriage, the paper, the marriage license. It was important. I wanted the ring. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted the wedding. I wanted it all because I hadn't had it. I
Right.
wanted it. I'm different like that. I got a late start.
Well,
So
and that takes you right there to our last point. I love this. When I saw it, I started laughing, thinking of you. Late bloomers in love.
yes.
That the reason they may not have been married or are still single over 50, they're just late bloomers.
Honey, hello, I wrote a book. It's at the end of the day, I'm going to leave a little tiny bit of room for the thing, the intangibles, the force, the energy,
Mm-hmm.
the thing that we can't feel or touch or know. It's the stuff that I don't know what you want to call it. It's either like God's will, or it's serendipity, or it's
Mm-hmm.
fate, or it's destiny, and it's stuff we cannot control. And I think people just have to kind of, excuse me, come to Jesus.
Aren't you Jewish? That's funny. No, I totally, I'm with you. Yeah. I mean, there's some certain things you can't control, and what happens to you later in life. We evolve. I mean, the bottom line to all this is, we tend to red flag, green flag, yellow flag us all over the board. You need to decide for yourself if this person in front of you is right for you, so to speak, based upon some of the criteria that we've covered here. It's more to cue, perhaps, what is important and to open your eyes so you're willing and able to look at it. But I'll let you close this segment, Treva. What do you think?
I'm all for being who you are, and being single with no apologies, being an empowered single, being
Yeah.
a proud single. But I would hate for anybody to be counting themselves out based on any of the aforementioned things we just talked about. you're opting out of love and dating because you're afraid, or you know, you don't like being vulnerable, or you have commitment issues, or you're too busy. I think it's incumbent upon everybody to take a hard look at themselves and ask yourself, what do I really want love? Is this really important to me? Well, if it is, get some insight, and either get quiet and go inside, or get help. You know, therapy and coaches are great tools to have. They're great supplements to help you get on your path and meet your goals. If that's your goal.
Yeah, I'll say one more thing. What based on what you just said, what struck me so interesting too is that all these points apply really to anybody, to people who've been divorced 8 times versus being single. And we tend to, for some reason, you know, there's still some judgment associated with that. That's why I think these conversations are so incredibly, you know, interesting.
Yes.
Just like your book, Done Being Single, A Late Bloomer's Guide.
And thank you. And yeah, there's no shame, everybody.
No.
And anybody who does shame you, you tell me about it.
Treva, thank
I'll
you.
set them straight.
Yeah, there you go. As always, I will link to all of your information.
Thank you.
Certainly the book right here, your website. If you want to talk about any other stuff in more detail, please do contact her. And I look forward to seeing you again soon on Second Act TV.
You got it. Mwah.